This week, our mind is super activated. We have a powerful and supportive new moon solar eclipse in Aries, and Neptune moves into a new sign. It's a big week. Welcome back to the Hello Fluid Collective podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and I love all things astrology and small business. On today's episode, we are talking about the astrology for the week of March 24th through March 30th. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of transits, and a few of them are quite big ones. Before we dive in, just my little friendly reminder to please sign up for my email newsletter. It's the way that you can stay up to date with all that I have to offer, but more importantly, you can get your month ahead horoscope. It's great to plan on my blog. I have my spicy, supportive, and dynamic days to help you plan if you have a little bit of flexibility on what days you're going to plan certain things, what weekend to stay home, what weekend to go out with friends. You might get a little bit of input as to which ones would be better for that. Also, if you are listening to this on podcasts, know that I also post these to YouTube. I have little title cards so that it's a little bit easier to track what transit I'm talking about, and you just find a little bit more information over there. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you can listen to this in the car or when you go for your little walks. It's kind of nice. Okay, let's dive in. The first transit is on Monday, March 24th, and that is the Sun conjunct Mercury, also known as a Mercury cazimi. Now, Mercury is retrograding, okay? It's currently in the sign of Aries, and so the Sun and Mercury meet up in the sign of Aries. This is probably the most clear-headed day of the week because it gets kind of loopy-doopy. Okay, it gets really loopy-doopy by the end of the week. So, Mercury retrogrades aren't really known for making big, important decisions because we might not have the clarity we need to do so until the retrograde is over. But if there are some that cannot wait until the end of the retrograde, this is the day to do it. This is an energy that gives our mind and communication a lot of energy, a lot of life force. So yeah, this is the one. I will say watch for impulsivity or being a bit too direct in the way that we're communicating. It is a good day to be reflecting on how your actions align with your thoughts. And if you do what you're going to say, all those kind of things, that's what the whole Mercury retrograde in Aries is about. So with the Sun coming together with Mercury, it really highlights that. As for business owners, this is a really good energy for reviewing your branding or your messaging or any sort of way that you're communicating what your business is about. It's also a good energy for creating content or maybe reviewing some old content. I don't know if you have a content that is just a mess and you need to organize and go through. This would be a good energy to do that under. It can give you the confidence you need to just post the stuff or make some decisions about what to do with it all. Next up is Tuesday, March 25th, and that is Mercury sextile to Pluto. This is another supportive transit with Mercury, which is our mind and communication. Pluto loves to go deep, uncover the hidden truths, which includes uncovering the hidden truths in our subconscious. So this is a really supportive energy for going deep into your subconscious to figure out how those things there might be impacting our thought patterns. Maybe there's some thoughts that we jump to right away or we keep thinking about over and over again, and we don't know where they come from. With the retrograde and a supportive connection to Pluto, this is an energy that allows you to go there without necessarily spiraling too much. This is also a really lovely energy for having deep conversations, whether it's with yourself or with other people. These conversations can really allow us to move forward and see a big amount of long-lasting growth. I will say the transit I'm about to talk about for Wednesday may come into play for this a little bit. It's going to have us feeling triggered and wounded. So yes, we're having deep conversations, but make sure they're not coming out of a space of defensiveness. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Coming back to Mercury sextile Pluto for business owners, this is a lovely transit for figuring out if there's any deeper patterns or beliefs that you have that are preventing you from doing things that you want in your business or taking certain risks. Are there things that you don't allow yourself to do because you don't think you're good enough, because you think you'll fail? Really dive into those things now. Again, if you're feeling really triggered about diving into them, step back a little bit, but maybe just write them down and just start there. We don't have to analyze. Pluto does love to analyze. But if we're feeling triggered, maybe just write them down and take a break. The Mercury sextile Pluto, this is the second time that we felt this transit in recent weeks. That is because of the retrograde. So we will feel it one more time in a few weeks from now on its way out. So just notice what comes up for you in terms of your subconscious and your mind and deeper conversations. Maybe you are returning to a deep conversation you had with somebody and having another part of it. So just notice if any of those things are coming up for a second time, and they may just come up for a third time with some forward movement. So this is part of a larger cycle. Moving on to Wednesday, March 26th, we have Mars forming a square to Chiron. This is not a fun transit. This is the one I was referring to. Chiron is all about our deeper wounds. The wounds that we picked up in our childhood and tend to just come back over and over again in different ways, which, hey, you know what? That's just part of life on this planet. They're obviously not fun, but they are part of the things that we're here to work through. And Mars forming a square to it, well, squares are already creating tension. Wounds already don't feel great. And Mars brings a bit of assertiveness, a bit of directness, and kind of this need to take action. Now, Mars also rules our bodies. So this could bring up wounds that have been living in our body, that we store in our body. Like, I don't remember the term for it right now, but I'm sure somebody can jump on here and tell you what the term is for when we store trauma or emotions in our body. When we don't deal with them, I feel like they get stored in our body. And that's why, we can get aches and pains, and, somatic healing is such a big thing. So traumas that are stored in our bodies may get triggered at this time. Also, just recurring aches and pains that we have in our body, you may experience those during this time. If you're somebody who has a chronic illness and has flare-ups like me, take extra care of yourself this week because it's just a bit more inflammatory, this energy is. So sleep in, drink lots of water, eat well, maybe don't go out drinking. Anything that might trigger a flare-up, let's just stay away from it this week. Also with this transit, people are just going to be feeling really defensive because anytime we're feeling hurt, a normal response is to get defensive. And Mars in itself brings a very defensive energy. It brings aggression. So just be mindful that other people might be more aggressive or defensive on and around this day. This Mars transit is going to last about 5 to 7 days. We're going to feel it all week and into next week as well. We're just going to be feeling sensitive. Now, this is the third time we are feeling this transit because this happened during the Mars retrograde. So we felt it once on its way into the retrograde, another time while Mars was retrograding, and this is the final time of this cycle. So although it may feel icky, I hope that it can bring some sort of closure. It may bring up something that's been brought up multiple times in the past couple of months, maybe since November. So I hope with Mars moving forward, it can give you a sense of figuring it out and closing that chapter. As for business owners, if you're feeling triggered, do your best to not let that seep into your leadership and the way that you take action that day. I would hate for you to take action out of fear or out of being upset when it's just better to take action with a more clear head. Also, take note that other people might be really sensitive and saying things that they don't fully mean, so don't take it personally. And if you have the energy to maybe offer a little bit of comfort so that it makes that moment a little bit easier for them. Also, don't be the person that is triggering other people's wounds. Yeah, just plan a little bit of extra time for cooling down or taking space this day, and if, the whole week really. It's kind of, there's a lot going. My expectations are very low for this week, I'm not gonna lie. Next up, we have Thursday, March 27th, and the first transit that happens is Venus retrogrades back into the sign of Pisces. Okay, I'll take this. Venus has been retrograding in the sign of Aries, which it does not like to be. Venus is very kind, it's loving, it's joyous, it's let's take care of one another. Aries is more about me first, it's being aggressive, it's taking action. Pisces, however, is all about compassion, is all about how we're connected. It's very lovey-dovey, so Venus is very comfortable there. With the retrograde energy, it's about reflecting on how we show up in relationships with or without compassion. And that also speaks to relationship with ourselves. Do we show ourselves compassion, and can we show ourselves more? It could also bring up moments of when we are being a bit too self-sacrificing in our relationships, maybe giving too much of ourselves. Pisces and Neptune, which I'll talk about in just a minute, is about understanding boundaries. As for business owners, I would use this energy to see how you can be more compassionate with yourself and others within your business. A lot of the time, as business owners, we equate our self-worth, Venus, to the success of our business or how much money we're making in our business. And to be honest, that's not very kind to ourselves, because naturally businesses have ebbs and flows. So that doesn't mean our self-value needs to have ebbs and flows. I know this is freaking hard. I don't practice this as much as I say it. But if we can stay consistent in our self-worth, man, that is powerful. And maybe consistent is a stretch, but wouldn't it be great if it didn't correlate with the financial numbers of our business? Wouldn't it be cool if we were proud of ourselves no matter what was flowing in the bank? I know. Next up is Venus conjunct Neptune. Yes, Neptune is in the last degree of Pisces, so as Venus is moving back into the sign of Pisces, it makes that head-on-head connection with Neptune. Now, this can go a few ways. Neptune, especially in the sign of Pisces, especially in the last degree of Pisces, which is just a supercharged degree of Pisces, Neptune can bring a lot of confusion and anxiety. And with Venus ruling our finances, our relationships, the way we show up in love, whether that's romantically or in platonic relationships, and it also rules our value systems. So the things that we hold of high value, which includes the things that we find worthy, self-worth as well too. So there may be a lot of confusion and anxiety in those things. Maybe there's some blurred lines in your relationship. Maybe you are living in a fantasy in one of your relationships. You thought it was this, and then you find out it's something else. It's also not a good day to be judging yourself based on the way you look, because Venus rules our relationship with beauty and Neptune knows no bounds. It's very confusing, and so it's not a day that is going to charge us with self-love necessarily or a lot of confidence. It could, maybe, but more than likely it's not going to. So if you have self-image issues, today is not the day to be going through your closet. It's also not the day to change your entire aesthetic, like get a dramatic haircut or anything like that, because you might not like it. It's true for most of Mercury retrograde, but especially on this day. Venus retrograde. It's also very easy to spend money we think we have, but actually don't on this day. So watch out for that. I'll be talking more about Neptune in a moment. But I want to say the other side of Neptune is that it could be really dreamy. It can be really creative, intuitive, imaginative. Because Neptune is really about pulling in things that aren't necessarily here in this reality, which, hello, is anxiety, right? We're tripping about the future, whatever it may be. At the same time, that's pulling in inspiration from other realms, from our guides, from God, whoever, whatever it may be that you are pulling inspiration from, your dreams. And Venus loves creativity, especially creating things that we enjoy creating. So that is a powerful way to use this energy, is to create space to flow and create and love rather than analyzing or trying to figure things out. As for business owners, please stay away from your finances on this day. Just don't do it. Don't do any budgeting. Don't do any figuring it out. Just don't do that. Try to avoid any big spends if you can. Wait a couple days on either side. Again, creative projects. Focus on going with the flow. Next up is Saturday, March 29th, and the first one is the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. This is the second eclipse. We just had the other one in Virgo a couple of weeks ago. So to me, this doesn't exactly close out the eclipse season. I like to think until we have the next lunation, which will be a full moon in Libra, that's when we will be done with eclipse season. But I say the most powerful time is really in between eclipses, when things are just happening at an accelerated pace. That will come to a close-ish, start to come to a close. How about that? So this new moon solar eclipse is actually a really supportive one. Although we have some more intense energies going on around this eclipse, the moon itself is not making any harsh transits, which is lovely. And there's conjunctions, which could go, a couple of ways, but there's no squares in this new moon chart, which is fantastic. Generally, spring is fresh beginning, fresh starts. The new moon in the springtime is a moment of heightened new beginnings. Now, with the retrogrades, it may not feel as fresh start. Maybe it does for you, but it's okay if it doesn't. To me, what I feel this new moon is all about is taking action in terms of clearing things out to make space for what's new. Neptune is super activated, which brings in the sense of not exactly knowing, but being able to dream about what's next. And Aries has us wanting to do things and initiate things. But the Neptune energy means we might not know exactly what for. The retrograde suggests that we're reviewing, reassessing, and, spring in general is about spring cleaning. Let's make some space for what's coming up next. So my suggestion is to focus on creating space and being okay with not necessarily filling it with what's next. Especially with eclipse season, it's very chaotic. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to change all of a sudden. So maybe we don't have to fill it with space. But if you're feeling like doing stuff, make some room. As for business owners, same thing applies. Make room for projects to come up, okay? Maybe you have a few projects that you're finishing up. Finish them out, put them out so that you can have space for all these fresh ideas that will most likely be flowing to you come mid-April. Then on that same day, we get Mercury retrograding back into the sign of Pisces. This is lovely for Venus. This is not so lovely for Mercury. Mercury, as I've mentioned before, likes to figure things out. It's very logical. It's very detailed. It's making the game plan. Pisces loves to go with the flow, loves to just be on their own timeline. What are spreadsheets? We are living in a different reality and we don't need to explain ourselves. So with that Pisces filter, Mercury gets muted a little bit and we have to put in some extra work when it comes to our communication and our mind. And on top of that, Mercury is retrograding, so we're already putting in the extra work. It's feeling very slowed down. So this isn't going to feel super clear when it comes to our thoughts, okay? Mental fogginess galore. I also expect short-term travel, like your commutes or little day trips, anything like that. Traffic is going to be messy, okay? So drive with caution, please. Be super alert. Mercury goes direct on April 7th, but it will stay in Pisces until April 15th. So we'll be, out of the clear by then. But, we'll make it. As for business owners, if you're feeling stuck, that's okay. We're not always supposed to have all the answers. Don't push for them if they're not there. You don't have to reach. Just allow yourself to be unsure for a while. Let it marinate. And I have a feeling that you'll have a lot more clarity come mid-April. So don't force things. Don't make decisions unless you really have to. Obviously, in business, sometimes we just got to go with it. But if you can, if you don't feel ready to make a decision and you have space to wait, wait. Okay. On Saturday, continued on Saturday, this is the day that you can just relax or paint some pictures or garden. I suggest doing so because just like Venus, as soon as Mercury taps back into Pisces, the first thing it does is connects with Neptune. Okay? So when Mercury is on top of Neptune, it's going to bring a lot of mental fogginess. It's going to bring a lot of confusion. It's going to bring a lot of misunderstanding and misconstrued messages. Whether we're saying stuff and we just say something we don't mean, or we say it perfectly and someone just interprets it completely different than how we meant. That is ridiculously heightened on this day. Not only because Mercury is conjunct Neptune, but because it's retrograding and it's retrograding in Pisces. So if your brain just simply doesn't work on this day, that is okay. Maybe we're not supposed to use it. Maybe we're just supposed to flow, okay? What this is an invitation to understand your boundaries when it comes to our thoughts and our communications. So maybe we might say something's wrong or say some things that get misconstrued, and that offers us an invitation to understand how we can say things more clearly. Maybe especially for a specific person, we learn that some things trigger them and we won't speak to that person in that way, or it triggers us, so we won't speak about these things with that person. Those things may come up, it may feel kind of icky, but at least then lessons learned. In addition, it's really easy with all three of these energies to get lost in some thought spirals. So, again, it's an invitation to notice that and figure out a way for you to redirect when we are in unhelpful or anxiety-inducing thought patterns. Maybe we need to journal about it to get it out of our brain. Maybe we need to talk to somebody. Maybe we need to just focus on something else for a little bit, let our subconscious process that a little bit. I love to clean while I'm processing things. It gives me something to do with my hands and my body to move that emotion around. And I also find myself kind of thinking about the things. And I don't know, there's something about like, as I'm cleaning something, it's like cleaning my mind of these spirally thoughts. I don't know. I like to clean. This works for me. If you hate cleaning, we don't need to add more aggression into the mix. I don't know. Maybe try gardening. That's something else I do. If you have a garden, if you have a friend who has a garden, I'm sure their garden has lots of weeds right now. Pulling the weeds is also very therapeutic, right? Just pulling the weeds. It's like pulling those thoughts out of your head. And while you're doing it, you can just kind of let the thoughts process. I don't know. These are just the things that I like to do, okay? I'm just suggesting. Overall, we might just be a little bit sensitive or thought spirally in the way that we're processing things. So be mindful of this and put in the practices or the coping mechanisms that you need to get through it. We're not numbing, we're not escaping, which, Neptune loves to do. By all means, if you are going off the rails and you're about to hurt you or yourself or do something harmful, watch some TV, do whatever you need to do to escape, right? Sometimes escapism is the answer. But if you have a little control to do something else that might help you work through the emotion or the anxiety, then that'll help. Because if you don't work through it, it'll just sit there and come back another time. As for business owners, oh my goodness, quadruple check everything. Send it to somebody to review it. If you can wait to send out an email, a communication, something really important, oh my gosh, please do. If you can't wait, have a few people read it, put it into AI, make sure it makes sense, use your resources, okay? Again, even if you write it perfectly, it's very easy to get misconstrued. So if it's something that's really important, I highly suggest waiting a couple days, like maybe on until the 31st. Okay, the last transit of the week is on Sunday, March 30th. It's a big one. Neptune moves into the sign of Aries. Okay, I could probably talk about this for a really long time, but I do my best to try to keep these episodes short. I feel like this one's already long, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. You can go on the YouTubes and find lots of beautiful astrologers who have been talking about this. One of my favorites is Nadia Shah. I'm sure she's done a post, or one of the people that she's trusts has done it. It's fine. I do not have the time at this moment to make an entire video on that, so I will refer you out. But what I will say is that it's a big deal because Neptune spends about 14 years in a sign. So it's been in Pisces where it likes to be. It is the modern ruler of Pisces. There's a lot of similarities there. They gel very well. It's been in Pisces since 2011. Okay, so since 2011, we have had a huge uptick in spirituality coming into the mainstream. Yoga, mindfulness, meditation. This is very Neptune in Pisces. It's also brought us different realities. Not only like augmented reality, but to me, social media blew up in 2011. Obviously, we had YouTube and stuff like that, but Instagram, I feel like, became a big thing around that time. And to me, Instagram is a whole nother reality. You have your own persona on there with this little, facade or not, this silo of yourself. And it's this little section of what people perceive you to be as, right? It's like a different reality where you exist. To me, that's very Neptune in Pisces, right? Neptune in Aries is about bringing a lot of those things, especially in terms of spirituality, compassion, understanding connectedness, understanding intuition, and bringing that into our personal power. Using spirituality to step into our personal power a little bit more. That sounds fantastic, right? Aries is about personal power. It's about taking initiative, brand new beginnings. So I think it'll bring a lot of new beginnings into the spiritual world as well. Same thing goes with our relationship to the arts. Neptune rules the arts in some manner. We may see a new renaissance in art. Fun. Now, at the same time, man, just talking about Neptune gets my mind in a whirl, let me tell you. At the same time, Neptune, while it rules spirituality, that includes organized religion. And Aries rules that kind of me first energy. And it also rules leadership. So we may find a lot of people using their own religious morals against other people, which clearly we see in the United States and probably all over the world. Yes, all over the world. And it's annoying. It's your religion. Keep it to yourself. You don't need to apply it to me. You can do whatever you want, but we don't need to be judging other people's lives based on what you believe, which is hard for people to understand. I get that. It's a process. But that might be heightened under this energy. Not great news. Neptune also brings with it anxiety and confusion, so that could bring some anxiety and confusion into our leadership. Woohoo! So, again, there's lots of ways this can go, and it's such a bigger topic, but how we as individuals can use it, because I really do believe that, some of these harsher things may happen on a macro level so that we can make changes on a micro level and then go back to impacting the macro. So some of these things in our leadership might not be great, but we are taking all the lessons that we've learned with Neptune and Pisces, all the things we have learned about intuition and mindfulness into our leadership being a little loopy, okay? And so that's how the part of us stepping into our personal power, maybe regaining some of our power back through understanding our relationship with different spiritualities. There's opportunity for that. Now, Neptune will retrograde back into Pisces in October. And then in January of 2026, it will move into Aries for good until 2039. All right. So this is here for some time. So for business owners, this is a long ass period, clearly. But Aries also rules entrepreneurship. Okay. And if you're here listening to this, I know you're into spirituality of some sort. So this is a time to start integrating, if you haven't already, I'm sure you have. If you're here, hello, Astrology and Small Business, integrating your intuition, your inspiration, your dreams, the things you pull down from above into your business. There's no more having to separate those things. It's time to integrate. And yeah, that's what I'm doing here, okay? I'm bringing astrology into small business. I realized that, but I didn't really realize that. Anyways, if you're here, you're off to a great freaking start. To toot my own horn. Okay, that's it. That's it for this week. And it's a lot, I know. So it's not just that's it. There's a lot going on. And it's still eclipse season. So we got an active mind. We got an active Neptune. There's a lot of anxiety. If you're spiraling, do the extra work to ground yourself. Do the extra work to help move the energy through your body. That Mars square to Chiron is bringing our body into this as well, too. So yeah, it might be an activated week, but I know you have what it takes to get through it. If you want daily reminders of these transits, then make sure you come follow me on Instagram, where I post all of these in a cute little graphic on Sundays as a post, but then I post them to my stories the day before they're happening so you can just have a little guidance as to what energy may come that day. It's nice. I find it useful for myself, so I hope it's useful for y'all. Have a beautiful week. And until next time, stay hella fluid, y'all.